Supported by and do not reflect those of the Evening Rush Network. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Yo, welcome to another. Don, I thought we discussed this. I thought my
I'm working on it, bro. I'm working.
Oh, okay, that should have started. That should have started off with like some bells, like the ringing of the bells or something.
Listen,
come on, bro.
Listen, man. I've been busy, man.
Nah, I understand. Look, I understand. You are the wise man of this podcast, so I understand. I get it. So, welcome to the Art of the Finished Wrestling podcast. Once again, I am your host, Rellz, joined again by Don Heyman. That's you. You are the wise man. And once again, joined by my brother from Buffalo, Jay Andre. What's going on, brother?
What's going on? Not much. What's going on with you, bro?
Can't complain, man. Same old. Just, living the life of a wrestling fan like always.
I heard it.
So before we get into the topic of the night, what do you think about this week's Dynamite rating? They got a 990,000. I mean, it's not bad. Supposedly, from what I read, it was only really because of a lot of the media coverage covering the hurricane. Shout out to all the people in Florida too. Hope everybody's doing good down there. But supposedly that's the reason why they probably didn't get over 1 million. So what do you think about that?
I said they need to let my man Punk come back.
That's the issue.
Yeah, I don't know about
everybody want to see if he's gonna come back or not.
I think that's what I think so too. But I don't know. I don't necessarily care for him back on TV, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Dynamite is like the last, I say at least like 3 or 4 months. It's been hit or miss with Dynamite. Sometimes they have a good show, and other times they don't. And then sometimes their finishes be kind of like wacky. And I think that's really would be hurt, especially with now WWE is like now elevating their product. It's like now you have another option where Dynamite was really the only show, wrestling show to watch, unless you was like a diehard NWA and stuff like that. But I mean, with Raw and SmackDown elevating their stuff, it's like people tuning out.
I agree, 100%. So, I mean, yesterday's show wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that a lot of the wrestlers weren't there because of the hurricane, because Tony Khan gave them the option of staying home to deal with their situation. So, I mean, it caused people to have to step up yesterday, like Willa Yuta. I like the Willa Yuta stuff with MJF. I don't particularly care for him talking, but like the action of him popping up behind MJF in the box seats or whatever, and attacking him makes for a good beatdown. It keeps the Blackpool Combat Club strong. At the same time, it could be used for some other stuff. I mean, I get it. It's just to get MJF over. It puts a credible challenge of us. And MJF can wrestle, so next week he'll show a lot of people he's actually a wrestler. So, but I mean, other than that, I'm not too big of Juice Robinson. I really can care for that match with Moxley. It was okay, but Dalton, what up, man? KD, what up? I didn't care for it, but the Jericho Bandito match, I personally feel like Bandito carried Jericho in that match. That suplex where he had Jericho up for like a minute and a half was damn impressive. Although it looked like he was going to drop him on his head a couple of times, but he still held him up there. Only thing I didn't like about that match was the fact that it seemed like Bandito hit Jericho with every finishing move he had, and Jericho kicked out of all of it. So it's like, at what point does Jericho's like 100 right now? I respect it, but and he still moves around great, but I don't know. Like, let me ask you a question: who do you see him dropping that belt to, Danielson or Garcia?
Garcia.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they telling the story that Garcia gonna turn on him and take that belt. Because the only reason Jericho got that belt is because they're looking for a TV deal.
Yeah.
And Tony Khan felt like Jericho was their inaugural champion and kind of helped Dynamite and AEW get off the ground. So he's trying to do the same thing with Ring of Honor, and I think Garcia could tell that story with him turning on Jericho.
Yeah, that's true. I think You think they get a Ring of Honor deal anytime soon?
I don't know. That confusion. See, what set them back was that confusion that happened with Punk and the Elite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even if they do get it soon, like where do you like which station do you see it on? What time? What day?
True.
So, what day can you put it on it? You don't want to put it on a Tuesday night. You don't want to go against NXT.
Right.
You don't want to put it. I guess the only. No, I mean, not saying that NXT. I'm be honest with you, bro. NXT is not all that good either.
Nah, you wildin'.
It's not. It really not, bro.
I've been watching NXT lately, and it's getting so much better.
Okay,
the storylines are even picking up.
Hear what you say is getting so much better. There was a period of time when NXT wasn't that good.
Yeah, I agree.
But see,
I definitely agree.
Here was the problem with NXT 2.0, and this is what I often say, is that if NXT 2.0 would have just started off like that, I think people wouldn't have really had a problem with it. But because you had NXT Black and Gold, and I don't care what your players say, that was not no developmental brand. Because you had the NXT
you're right,
Black.
CK.
You're right.
Black and Gold. See, people comparing the NXT 2.0 to the Black and Gold brand. And you ain't gonna get no as good as that Black and Gold brand. But I think if NXT 2.0 would just started off just like that, I think people would have been more accepting of it.
My problem with NXT 2.0 was, for one, they pushed Braun Breaker out the gate too fast. Two, they did the whole stupid thing with him kicking down the NXT logo, only for it to be reborn again. So it kind of made no sense for him to do it. And he's lost a lot of steam too, to be honest with you.
He did.
I don't think he was quite the same after he lost to Ziggler.
No.
So I mean, the hottest wrestler in NXT is Carmelo Hayes, hands down. Hands down. There's that dude's a champion with no championship.
Yeah.
Like, hands down. So I wouldn't mind seeing him somehow be the one to beat Braun and win the title. Because once Braun loses the belt, he's going to the main roster. You already know that's already.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that guy's a hot commodity. Like, I really like Carmelo Hayes. And you know what the way wrestling is, only a matter of time before Trick turns on him. Unless you bring that act to the main roster together, Trick will turn on him in NXT beforehand. But
yeah. And that'd be his sponsor on off of NXT to the main roster.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. KD says Saray's gonna. Yo, you stupid. You stupid. Triple threat with Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. Oh, oh. But Don, see, you're the big WWE guy, so I'm gonna ask you, what did you think about Raw this week?
Actually, I only caught parts of it. I didn't actually catch the whole thing. You know, I was doing shows.
Mm-hmm.
But everything I saw, I enjoyed. I actually was checking out YouTube channel where they had on a house show with Braun versus the Bloodline, and that was amazing to see Solo and Braun go at it. And I think I'm ready for them to bring that to SmackDown. I think that's going to be definitely a big thing. But like, I'm tired of Edge on the comeback. Like, bro,
you know what kills it for Edge for me? I'm gonna be honest with you. It's the short haircut. Like,
yeah, but now him going at Finn and I Quit match. Like, what is that gonna do? Like, are you gonna?
He's not losing. You know he's not losing that match.
Yeah, and you know he's not gonna. He's not like you're going back to, back over there. So to Judgment Day. So what are you doing here?
They should have never broke.
It's time to move on. So yeah, okay. I agree.
All right. So matter of fact, you know what? Let's just get into the topic now because this will all tie into everything anyway. So the topic tonight is pretty much Triple H's impact on AEW and WWE. So now we're gonna get into this whole thing, right? So I do feel like if Triple H was in charge at the time when Cody got hurt, I don't think he breaks up Judgment Day. Because think about it. It really made no sense to break him up 2 months after he made the group. You could have literally, and this is why I honestly think he could have done if Triple H was in charge at the time. He just would have done the same thing he's doing now. He would have built up Finn Balor, and Finn Balor probably would have been going against Judgment Day. it would have made sense. Ultimately, I think it probably would have been a match at SummerSlam where he would have fought Edge and probably beat him.
I think all the movements Triple H is making now is to build the younger characters, and I think that's what we've been all wanting from the longest. Is build these young characters up. You know, the old characters are great, but you want these new characters. You want them with titles and moving forward. You know, where Vince basically wanted the old characters to maintain the titles for as long as they possibly could, and you know that's what it be. So since he took over, you see everybody, you know, great wrestlers coming up. You're seeing character, you know, a whole different storyline for each one of them, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, Triple H for the WWE is actually doing great.
I agree because I know at one point, and I think you remember this, I told myself I wasn't going to watch Raw for a while. Once Austin
because
Theory
you were
had Money in the Bank, because I was tight. You're not.
Yo, Jay, hold on.
Yo, let me break it down.
Jay, he was sitting here telling me action for action as we are sitting here watching Raw together. He was like, yo, watch this happen.
And was I right or was I wrong?
You were right.
I called everything. It was so predictable.
Everything. And it was just like, yo, bro, you ruining Raw for me right now.
Nah, but this is the thing. It became so predictable.
Yeah. And it was great. That's what I said, like, to you. Like, yo, this is amazing how you doing it.
What killed it for me, what almost killed me from watching Raw was just them throwing Austin Theory into that Money in the Bank. Because I knew it was coming. Like you knew it was gonna happen. And then once he got in the match, I'm like, he's not gonna lose.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's like he won, and I'm like, yo, they did the same shit with Brock.
Yeah.
Like it's like, come on, like you have all these characters, like you can't make, and it was blatantly obvious that Vince was just pushing this guy. Like you seen it, like it was nothing you could do to stop it. Thankfully, Triple H stopped it. I mean, he still got the briefcase, and I feel like Triple H. I feel like he's going to cash in eventually, but Triple H is going to find a way to build Theory up into something important first. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, I think if Vince was still in charge, Theory probably would have already cashed in and won.
But remember what I told you. What I told you. I would prefer if they you know, make it a match, him and Kevin Owens, and make it for the briefcase.
You said Vince was way too predictable having watched WWE. I can honestly tell you now, CK, you can actually watch a WWE product now with Triple H in charge.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a lot coming from me to give a recommendation.
See, everybody's saying Johnny Gargano. I can see that too. Either Johnny Gargano or Kevin Owens. I think he's gonna push Kevin Owens more right now. But once again, we all want the same thing. Roman to lose one of those belts. Unfortunately, and I hate to say it because, you know, I'm loving the Bloodline right now, but I have to agree when I say, yo, you know, end of the day, Roman has to lose one of those belts so that, you know, at the end of the day, this can go on further. You know what I mean? They can't keep holding all these double titles. It's like, you know, when is somebody else gonna get the belt? You know, so.
What do you think, Jay?
I want to see that.
I think that what killed it for me with Raw, well, there's a lot of stuff that killed it with Raw, but the one main thing was the Judgment Day. What didn't make sense is that Edge pins Finn Balor on Sunday night, and they call Edge the weakling the very next night on Raw after he pins Finn Balor. Like
my point exactly. Like, there's a lot of stuff that made no sense. Like, come on. Like, it really made no sense. You have what's this guy? What was the announcer for SmackDown that he's taking a break?
Oh, the dude with football.
Yes. Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee beats Austin Theory at WrestleMania, but yet Austin Theory carries the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah.
All those great talented wrestlers in that Money in the Bank, and Austin Theory won it.
That's true. That's true.
Because that's Vince's boy.
And to me, I would have had AJ Styles be the leader of the Judgment Day because he was already a heel. So you really could have kept. It didn't make sense to make Edge a heel going into Edge versus Styles. It just didn't make sense to make him a heel. I would have let AJ Styles be over the Judgment Day, because at the end of the day, getting AJ Styles knowledge when it comes to wrestling with those, that's just priceless. I mean, Edge is too, but AJ Styles is like one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. But
don't forget when,
especially when they wasn't doing it with him.
Man, listen.
Don't forget, you know, AJ's been a great heel. He's never.
Yeah. What do you prefer, Don? Don, what do you prefer, AJ? Is a heel or a babyface?
Actually, is a heel.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's Austin Theory's push was Vince McMahon's idea, and Triple H obviously disagrees. I wouldn't say he disagrees, but I think at this point it's almost like Triple H is making Austin Theory pay his dues.
Yeah.
Because he's putting on decent matches, and he's just not winning. But at the same time, how many guys cashing their Money in the Bank briefcase with losing streaks?
It seemed like that always happened with WWE though.
Yeah. The dude lose like 10 matches in a row, but then he cashes in and becomes world champion.
Right. That's what happened with Dean Ambrose when he cashed in. And
that happened with Dolph Ziggler.
Yep.
Yeah.
He got pinned the night before WrestleMania and then cashed in and won the title the next night. So it's just a matter like, I like what Triple H is doing with Kevin Owens. He's reestablished him as a main eventer again. Thank God. I can't wait for this whole Bloodline storyline to end with. And I'll be honest with you, I've been calling this since like WrestleMania that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were going to be the ones to take the titles off the Usos. It's no other team to do it. There's no other team to do it. I don't care who, unless you somehow bring in the Young Bucks, which won't happen no time soon. There is no other team that can do it.
You know what I was thinking? You know what I was thinking about Rellz and Don? You know what I was thinking about? I love that storyline with the Bloodline and Sami Zayn. But I would like even more if Sami Zayn was the one to go after Roman and dethrone Roman from that title.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I'm sorry. Because when you're thinking Rock versus Roman, I just don't see where Sami fits into that. Like, don't get me wrong, just like you feel like Sami should, I feel like Jay should be the one to dethrone Roman.
Yeah.
The storyline makes perfect sense.
Especially
I disagree with that.
Especially since Jay gave Roman his first loss in the WWE.
He sure did. He sure did. But you know, historians won't remember that.
Yeah.
But
I disagree. I would actually prefer Seth to actually do it again. One more round with Seth, or even Kevin Owens. Actually.
Would you be down for another? Would you be down for another Roman Braun match?
Nah, I'm done.
Nah, you done with that?
I'm totally done with that.
Who would you rather see? If you had to choose one, pick your poison. A Roman Braun feud or a Roman Brock feud? Braun.
I'll definitely take Braun.
Okay. Just because, right?
I'm like over certain stuff. I'm just over. And Braun Strowman and Roman, I'm over. Brock, definitely I'm over. Like, bro, how many more times you got to do it? Like, come on. I mean, I'd rather have the Braun feud. You know what I mean? But like I said, after watching Solo and Braun, it's like, yo, them two would definitely lay out a great feud.
I can see that match. When Roman loses, do you see the Bloodline breaking up?
I hope not. I actually hope not. I actually want to see them still, keep going with it. Lose to Sami though. Of course, I didn't want Sami in there anyway. But
that storyline is brilliant. I'm not even going to lie though. Like the storyline for what it is, him being an honorary Uso and him really feeling like he's part of the family.
Right.
We all know how this is going to turn out though.
You never really was in.
No,
come on.
Bro, you know how this is going to turn out. This is going to turn out with Sami over here. Well, maybe in the Vince McMahon era. I don't know about the Triple H era, but the Vince McMahon era would have had Sami over here in the Bloodline talk about how they just using him. Yeah, and that would have been the catalyst for him to either turn on them or try to turn on them and get jumped. Triple H mind frame could be Sami Zayn could just be tearing the Bloodline up from the inside out. You never know what Triple H is thinking. So Triple H has a different mind frame for the business. So you never know.
That Sami Zayn storyline remind me of the Eugene one with Evolution.
For that one little bit of time where he felt like he belonged. He had one little match with Triple H and Triple H beat his ass. I remember. But let me ask you a question. I'd ask you, Jay Andre. What do you think Triple H impact has done to Tony Khan.
I think it's exposed Tony Khan, because I think Tony Khan comes off as a obsessive OCD type of guy, and he cares about what people think. And I think it exposed him, because what he got last year was to come back WWE, and he was excited. But now you don't have that same toy in CM Punk, So I think it has exposed him, and it has shown that you bring these people in just for a big pop, and then what are you doing with them? So now they have another place to go back to, where the working conditions is better, storylines is better. So I think it has definitely put him on the exposure. Don't get me wrong, I like Tony Khan. I think Tony Khan was a breath of fresh air when he first started AEW. But I definitely think this has exposed him. And I think that's why you kind of getting the finishes you get. He going back to Moxley, making Jericho the ROH champion and all that other stuff. I think it has exposed him.
Hold up, KD says Sami Zayn is going to cost the Bloodline a loss at Survivor Series, which will open the door for Bloodline to keep Sami. That makes sense too.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree.
So you say about Royal Rumble? If WWE is smart, which Triple H is in charge, and I think so, you can literally stretch this all the way to WrestleMania and have the Usos fight Owens and Sami Zayn. But the question is, well, then once again, it's the same thing that Don said. You're still holding up 2 sets of tag team titles though, all the way into WrestleMania. So it's like how, what is these other tag teams fighting for if there's only 1 set of tag team titles?
Basically.
So
you know what I'm saying? And I honestly, like, when you look at the tag team spectrum right now in WWE, you have a lot of amazing teams.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have a lot of, and Imperial is actually one of the teams I've been watching, and I'm just like, okay, I didn't like y'all in NXT, but I'm digging y'all now.
They had to grow them because I wasn't a big fan of them in NXT, but seeing them now, it's almost like, I don't know if it's seeing them now or if it's just more that I'm happy that tag team wrestling is back in WWE.
Yeah.
But seeing them fight the Brawling Brutes or seeing them fight New Day, just seeing tag team wrestling look like it cares again is good enough for me. So they should unify the tag division. It's pretty much what they're doing now.
Yeah, it's done.
It was 1 set of belts, The Usos versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania 30. Yeah, it does if you can stretch it out. This is what I'm saying. Like when Vince McMahon was in charge, I didn't really have faith that they could stretch it all the way into WrestleMania. But this bloodline thing is so hot right now, and they're selling it. And I bet you they're selling a ton of merch right now. So you don't want to drop the ball on that.
That's true.
You know it.
Let me ask you a question, John.
I just bought 3 Bloodline shirts.
Let me ask you a question because you're going to the Raw show. You're going to the Raw show in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Do you do a little interaction between DX and the Bloodline?
Not really.
You keep them separate?
Yeah, I would. I never was a big fan of DX.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Like, because DX is what they are to wrestling, do you think, Roman comes out with the Bloodline and they like push DX to the side? I mean, because the only bad thing about that is it's not going to amount to a match.
Right.
Like, who's fighting? Yeah. Triple H can't fight no more. Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels is done.
Never thought I'd ever say this, but I don't want to see Shawn Michaels in a ring ever again.
I don't. I mean, honestly, like, with Shawn is a little different. You know what I mean? He's literally done because his back is, like, done.
Shawn is done when he has no more hair. That's not the Shawn Michaels I know.
The sexy boy no more.
bro, like that match with him and Triple H versus the Brothers of Destruction was like, it was almost like watching. You know how that
was painful.
That
was definitely painful.
You know when they say like you don't want to be a parody of yourself? That match, everything that could go wrong in that match went wrong. Triple H tore his pet. Kane's mask came off in the middle of the match. Like
Undertaker looked like he was really done.
Shawn Michaels had no hair; he was bald. Like it was just like, what do you guys? It almost looked like you could put those guys in an auditorium and just let them wrestle, and it would have just been depressing just to see them.
Once again, this is under Vince, where you saw like, he just wanted to push. I'm still pushing the guys as much as possible because I feel like that's gonna bring ratings, and that just wasn't what it was. You know what I'm saying? You were losing fans. Because they wanted to see new blood. I want to see new blood. I'm tired of the same old wrestlers. Like you said, it became predictable, and it was just, I'm tired. I want to see something new. So, you know what I mean? excellent work, is being done right now. You know what I mean?
Triple H does some great work.
Now, what I am tired of, I'm getting tired of, is what is his name? Riddle. And Seth. I mean, like, how many more times Seth gonna beat his ass?
And I think that's the problem. The problem is what you're seeing is that every week it seems like Seth gets the upper hand. So it's not like 1 week Seth gets the upper hand and the next week Riddle. It seems like it always ends with Seth doing something that Riddle just can't come back from.
And that curb stop is just phenomenal. He's catching curb stops left and right.
Except when he tried it on Lashley.
Oh yeah, that was dope. That was dope.
He was like, "Nah, chill, son. That's not gonna work here.
You ain't doing me like that."
Oh, hey, vet. Yo, and one thing I would say about wrestling, and I honestly think that Vince did a good job with this one wrestler, and Triple H is still continuing, and that's Lashley. Because let's be clear, 2-3 years ago, Lashley was a jobber.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then he got with MVP, and it's just like everything changed. But what I like about it is the fact that even though he's not with MVP no more, he's still dominant. Because it was real easy to have him off MVP's team or whatever the case may be, and then you can just go right back to losing again. But they kept him dominant. This is what Lashley should have been from the jump.
Yeah.
But they should have never broke the Hurt Business up either.
Not at all.
I really hope I wouldn't mind Triple H bringing them back to feud with the Bloodline just to give them something to do. But I don't know. I just feel like that team was just dismembered too soon.
Yeah. I think the Hurt Business should have never broke up. I agree with that.
Not at all.
Definitely.
The Hurt Business was about the closest. The Hurt Business was the Black Evolution.
They was about to really
blow up.
Get that spark and blow, and Vince pulled it too soon.
Yup, absolutely. And you know why he pulled it, right? Pulled it all for the sake of keeping Lashley a heel.
Listen.
In the Drew McIntyre feud. That's where he messed up at.
Yeah.
Because remember, at one point, the Hurt Business were actually faces. And then Drew McIntyre ended up becoming, and they had the WrestleMania match, and all of a sudden it was like, we had to break them up. It made no sense, though, at all. But I don't know. As far as with Triple H, I feel like with Tony Khan, I feel like Tony Khan hit the panic button and just didn't know how to come back from it. Like, because even when Triple H took charge, he was like, I hope I could do business with them. And then Triple H, instead of like doing business with him, was just trying to get all his talent back. That Vince fired. And that's another thing too. Like, that's another thing I wanted to bring up too.
I still agree with what KD just said.
They need to add to their version of it. Yeah. Well, yeah. But then Vince McMahon didn't know what to do with Keith Lee either. Turn him into a bear cat. Like, why? You gave this dude a whole outfit with stripes and had him come out and growl. Why? Like, you see what Keith Lee does in AEW is let him be who he is. It doesn't make no sense. But like, as far as the Tony Khan thing goes, it's like I feel like Tony Khan has a core bunch of wrestlers. You can establish. First of all, Tony Khan needs management, leadership with him. He needs somebody that's going to sit him down and be like, "Yo, look, this is how we need to group things. This is your heavyweight division. This is your TNT division. This is your tag division. This is your women's division. First of all, you got to figure out how to put women on TV more than one segment. Hopefully, yesterday was a good start because they had about 25 minutes of TV time, which is a good thing. He needs to establish who his core main eventers are. Even if that means it's an Omega, Danielson, I don't know who else would you put in that main event. Jericho, Moxley, but you need to establish that. Sort of like how Triple H knows who his main eventers are. And you need to build that up. TNT, you have Wardlow. Wardlow comes on TV and teams up with Samoa Joe, but he's not putting his title on the line. You have a bunch of monster challenges for Wardlow. You got Luchasaurus, you got Powerhouse Hobbs, you got Ricky Starks, you got all these guys, and it's like, but it's no direction. You can see that there's no direction. Tony Khan for too long went around with no direction, and it was okay because us as wrestling fans, like Jay Andre said, was something different. Yeah, but now with Triple H is in charge. Yeah, but now that Triple H is in charge, and you're starting to see the structure change. Now you kind of, and I'm a big AEW fan. Don't get me wrong. But now, definitely. I start to see where he's lacking, and you know what I'm saying. Like, it's like, come on, you don't. yo, I'll be honest with you. When Triple H took charge, I was telling a friend of mine, I'm like, yo, I don't see AEW around in 2 years. Like, and that was because of all the stuff that was going on with the whole Punk situation.
But I disagree. I mean, I think AEW is going to be around for a while. The reason why AEW still has its own lane. You know what I mean? Where even with it going through problems, it still has its own lane and it's built its own fan.
Bro, you want to know something? I watching last night, and I think Jandra, you watched it yesterday?
No, I didn't watch it yesterday.
Okay, so if you watched it yesterday, right? They started off like how WWE starts off. It literally started off with a whole like a segment, a talking segment that led into a match. But then again, you have Jericho starting it off. So with guys like Jericho, with guys like Moxley, with guys like even guys like Regal, you need to listen to these guys. These guys have been there. They know what it takes to put a show together. Jericho's a great storyteller. This ROH thing is a storytelling in itself. Do I care for it on AEW TV? Not really, but they don't have a TV show, so you got to do the best with. At the end of the day, you having your ROH title be the focus of the show is taken away from your TNT champions or your tag team champions. You have Jericho at the start of you had Jericho at the start of the show and at the end of the show, but then you had the Acclaim in a talking segment backstage. That you don't know if that was live or even taped. Then you have,
but that's one of the things you even said that you disagreed with was their long shows. You know, you go there at 5 o'clock, you're out.
Bro, their pay-per-views are like the old WrestleManias, yo. It starts at like 7, it's not over to like 12:30.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, I've heard this numerous times, not just from you, but people leaving the shows because they're like, yo, damn, I'm done. Like,
Tony
Khan
puts
much
like
longer?
14 matches on a pay-per-view, every pay-per-view. Like, I get it. I get it if it makes sense. I get it, right? If it makes sense because you have pay-per-views every 3 months. So I get that. But when you have a feud that starts like a week before the pay-per-view starts and there's really no build to it except for a backstage talking segment, then yeah, now I'm like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. Don't get me wrong. AEW puts on great matches though. Their pay-per-views are always good. But when there's but WWE has conditioned me to understand that there needs to be a storyline behind it. This Bloodline storyline is like top notch. I don't know if it would have stayed this way with Vince in charge. I don't know because I feel like by this time they'd already kicked Sammy out.
Right.
So I don't even think Solo would be called up. So
he rushes it. Vince was rushing a lot of things. Let me rush it. Push. Triple H is taking his time. He's taking his time. He's listening to the writers. Like, he's hearing them out.
So we're gonna take a quick break because we already at the 30-minute mark. When we come back,
bro, I didn't even want to take a break. We was talking some real shit. But
because we're gonna talk about all the improvements that Triple H did when we come back, and we're gonna talk about all the things Tony Khan needs to improve. So we're gonna take a quick break. If you're looking to start a podcast on the Evening Rush Network and you don't know how to, this is how you do it.
Looking to podcast shows and do not know where to start? The Evening Rush Network can help you with that. Call us at 929-441-2417 or email us at theeveningrushnetwork@gmail.com for dates and prices. We got you for all your podcast needs. The Evening Rush Network. Tune in, subscribe, and share.
Still waiting for my bell ringing, but we ain't get it yet. So
no, we got it. It's coming next week for sure.
All right. So let's just take a quick step and look at all the good stuff Triple H did since he's come back, and you guys could jump in and throw in y'all things too. First thing Triple H did when he came back, he gave storylines. Second thing he did, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, the most important thing Triple H did since coming back was making those secondary titles seem important again.
Yeah.
Because with Vince McMahon did in about 15 years, Triple H erased all of that in 2 segments. like seriously, right? Like he literally made you understand how important the U.S. title was. He made you understand how important the Intercontinental title was. Yeah. He got him on 2 big guys who can carry the titles. Lashley is their world champion on Raw right now, whether you want to admit it or not. Like so you being Lashley for the U.S. title right now would be a big deal. He made us forget that Walter's name is Gunther because he's just so dominant now. Like, he erased all of that. I'm okay with that. He brought Imperium back together. I'm okay with all of that. He got this whole thing with this whole White Rabbit possibly being Bray Wyatt. All this stuff that, all of this extra playing this different music in house shows and, having these little QR codes on the show that makes you feel like, oh, what is this going to be? Like, he's listening to his wrestlers. Like, now, all of a sudden, now these guys now have paid holidays now. Like, my thing is, like, where was all of this when Vince was in charge?
Right.
Like, what changed? Like, I understand, because at the end of the day, let's just be clear, it's still Vince's company, no matter what you say. But what changed that Vince is just like, you know what? I'm just going to let
hold on. It's a McMahon company.
It's
not, per se a Vince's company anymore. It's a McMahon.
Let's be honest. It's always going to be McMahon's company. It's always going to be Vince's company.
It's a McMahon company, and I think Stephanie is definitely, by letting him do what he do, and she's just handling the back scene, I think she's doing much better than any other GM would be doing. You know what I mean? I mean, CEO would be doing right now.
I mean, they're doing a great job on the front. So just, but the tag team division still has a little bit more work to do. But once again, that's just pretty much that could also just be because all the tag team belts all belong to the Usos. So
bro, but like I told, if you really look at their tag team situation, is getting phenomenal.
Yeah, he's building them up exactly.
Like, you actually want to see the Viking Raiders. You want to see
the first thing he did was take away that new and improved Viking Raiders shit off. Thank God. the new vicious. No. But eventually it's going to come a point in time where he's going to put Gargano and Ciampa back together, and when they do, that's going to be magic too. So Sami Zayn, and think about it, a tag team division with Owens and Zayn, DIY together, like Imperium, the Brawling Brutes, like it's like the tag team division has no limits in the next year or so.
Yeah.
So, and then let's just see. Triple H has a lot to play with. Let's see how he does the Royal Rumble this year. Like,
and don't forget Dawkins and Ford. Like,
but I feel like I don't know why, but I don't feel the energy in the Street Profits no more. I don't know if it's because I don't know if it's because all the times they lost to the Usos when the titles were on the line, but I just feel like they just there just to be there now. Like I feel like they're there just like Gable and Otis is there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I could say I feel that way about the New Day now.
I agree. The New Day is seriously lacking without Big E.
Yeah.
They're just a jobber tag team at this point that at any given point can get a push and end up fighting the Usos for the belts again. You never know. It's just
but do you want to see that again?
No.
The titles been back and forth with them two forever.
Exactly.
I want to see new blood. I want to see new blood get belts, and once again, keep the SmackDown titles with the Usos. Put the Raw titles back where they belong.
Yeah, and the hardest part is, like, how do you get these belts off though? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get the belts off? See, okay, the Usos could lose the belts. It's okay. It just furthers the storyline because now it's like almost Roman's like, do you guys even belong here now? So it works. Everything centers around Roman. Once Roman loses the belts, then the bloodline is pretty much dead in the water. So it's almost like, because once he loses the belts, the storyline is like, you're not the tribal chief anymore. We don't have to listen to you. Mm-hmm. So, the biggest storyline would be the Usos keeping the belts and Roman losing the belts. Because then it's like, who has to listen to who now?
Mm-hmm. But that's why I said one belt I could see Roman losing. Both belts, I don't think so.
Yeah, but then the problem with that is Roman will have to lose. And that's the problem. That's the problem.
Yeah. Like, and after not losing in 2 years is like.
You remember the last person Roman lost to? Just in general?
Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
No, just in general. King Woods by disqualification.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Damn. The last person I can't even thought about that.
The last person to pin him was Corbin. Yeah, but that was 2019. Think about that. How long has us wrestling fans ever seen a wrestler not lose that long? Like, Goldberg didn't count.
But this is amazing, bro. This is something that I'm happy to see. I'm honestly, because you know what? It brings us back to that Hulk Hogan era. Hogan held it for 5 years. Bruno Sammartino held it for 11 years.
It evokes the emotion as wrestling fans too. Because let's be clear, my mom's a huge wrestling fan, right? She loves she loved Roman Reigns. Keyword past tense. And you know why? Because as a wrestling fan, she's tired of him cheating to win every match.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it's like it does get annoying because it's like, yo, like as a babyface, you're not fighting him by yourself, but yet you still do it.
Did, bro. This is what Flair did.
Yeah, but bro, you're right. But for every Flair title win, there was a Sting who beat him, there was a Luger who beat him. But he would get the belt right. The dude's a 16-time world champion.
Yeah,
21-time world champion, but we ain't gonna talk about that. So you can say like it's you can't even compare the two because like you say, Roman hasn't been pinned, so he hasn't lost the belts. But for every Flair loss, they built a new star. There was a Sting that became, there was a Luger that became, there was a Wyndham that became. These guys were made as stars. It's almost like once you lose the Roman, it's like you kind of go back down the totem poles. Where do you go from there? Like I lose the Roman, so now I'm gonna go challenge Gunther. That's not any better. To be honest with you.
Right.
I honestly want to see Gunther Sheamus some more.
Oh, they're fighting. They're fighting it, I think, in 2 weeks on TV for the title.
Yeah, but you want more. I don't want to like. You see the distance from these two fights.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing enough of them on SmackDown. I want to see more of them two.
But you know what's crazy? In the Triple H era, they make sense, and I'm gonna tell you why. When Vince was in charge, you would have Imperium versus the Brawling Brutes. It would be Gunther versus Sheamus. Then it would be Gunther and Bartel versus any other members, but it would flip flop, and it would get annoying because you're seeing the same matches every week. Triple H let it breathe a little bit. For example, you had the Brawling Brutes fight the Usos, but the Brawling Brutes lost. Why? Because Imperium interfered. But it still keeps the storyline going because now it's like, yo, we're not worried about the Usos. Now we got to go finish this business before we gonna handle the next thing. So it gives it a chance to breathe. Like in the process, you let them actually get a title shot, which they put a great match on. That match was fucking phenomenal. Yeah, but it ended because Imperium interfered. Why? Because they didn't want them to win the belts. So now you can flip it where Imperium gets a title shot and the Brutes do the same thing, and then you have to all like that can be a War Games match in itself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think War Games is going to be phenomenal for Survivor Series.
Yeah, I think so too.
That is going to be phenomenal. You know what I'm saying?
I think Survivor Series is going to be the best pay-per-view up and down.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Do you put my thing is if the Bloodline is in the Survivor Series match, do you put Roman in it or do you just have it with like the Usos, Zayn, and Solo? Because let's just be clear, if Roman's in it, they're not losing. But if Roman's not in it, then there's a chance they could lose.
Well, I mean, it could go either way. It depends on who they're going against.
Roman's not losing. This is the part. unless it's something where he gets counted out.
But understand, him losing in a War Game wouldn't count on the record of him losing his belt. But it would actually set up whoever you have for that championship run, which would make a great storyline in itself.
Yeah, but it don't matter if you know the end game is not Roman losing.
Especially if it's Cody.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even want to see Cody. I don't care for Cody. Like there was a part of me that I hated his guts when he left AEW. All the shit that happened between now and then, I understand why he left, so I get it. But then I feel like the injury was just bad timing because we all know he's going to come back in the Rumble and win, and he's going to end up winning the title that way. And it's like, it's too predictable. Like, but, if Cody beats Roman, I'm okay with it because I'm just tired of seeing Roman with the belts. Like,
wow.
To me, if they did Roman and Rock, they don't even need to be for the titles. I mean, that's a big enough match. We don't even need to the title.
But you need to put the title, even though because you want Roman to win with the title situation.
But once again, my point is this: Roman's gonna beat The Rock so didn't lose to Cody. So Cody's better than The Rock? How?
Nah, it's not that. It's not that. It's, with that situation, and you already know it's for that tribal chief title. You want The Rock to now acknowledge.
So you get the belts off of Roman before then.
Right, and that's why they don't need to be for the title. You could do Cody and Seth at Mania.
Yeah, but how do you get the belts off of Roman? That's the problem.
Oh, yeah, that's the problem.
You see what I'm saying? That's the big problem. How do you get the belts off of Roman?
Unless you do a Royal Rumble. Well,
I was thinking that it makes sense. Unless he's the head of the table, who's better than everybody. You put him in a Royal Rumble, he gets eliminated.
Yeah.
But then he would have to get eliminated by The Rock. Like realistically speaking, he would have to get eliminated by The Rock for Roman to then eliminate him. That sets their WrestleMania matchup. And then you have somebody win the Rumble. I prefer Seth to win and have Cody beat him at WrestleMania. It would make sense. But
why? Why? But see, we already seen that. This is why.
But we haven't seen it for the belt.
Yeah.
But then my question is this: if the rumor of Big E coming back at the Rumble, which a phenomenal miracle if he does, considering what happened, how does he get eliminated? Because you risk the chance of him being the Daniel Bryan sentimental favorite, and now you see what I'm saying? Like, you can't have him get eliminated, and then have somebody like say it'll only work. Well, it could work because if Seth is still a heel, it will work because the fans are going to boo Seth anyway. But
you still remember, you got the Fiend. Everybody's waiting for the Fiend to come back, so that's a whole nother situation.
Yeah.
So
what do you do?
See, this is why you see how you. That's what I'm saying with everything going on with Triple H right now. As far as running, he has so many options.
See, Bray Wyatt. See, I hope he stay away. I could care less if he come back. The eater of pins, that's what I call him, because he just. He was phenomenal as the Fiend. I think that storyline was great. The only thing I did, like the whole burning of the Fiend, I thought that was trash. The Alexa Bliss situation,
or neither.
No,
bro, that was the first
whole
match.
Alexa Bliss situation, I think that was trash. But
that whole match at WrestleMania took the steam out the whole crowd when he lost that match, and that was the first match on the show. Like, it was like, come on. Like, Vince booking was horrible back. If you really think about how bad his booking,
or when Goldberg beat him for the Universal title,
which Goldberg then said, "Yo, it wasn't his idea." That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. I'm not the one who says that. You just literally said, "Yo, it doesn't look good for your image if you lose to the Fiend."
Wow.
Like, you killed that character with that. Like, this dude was unstoppable, and then you beat him in Saudi. I can understand, and I can sit here and say Saudi shows don't mean anything, but it means something when you got to come back across though. But it does mean something when you got to come back across and you the champ, and he's not no more. You can't explain that.
If he Saudi matches be dope though.
Nah, they do. But that Blood Money matches, them matches be great. You're right, but like, for example, what is this? What does Logan Paul have to do with wrong? Like, it makes no sense.
Oh yeah, that to me was a waste of They just needed to throw Roman in something where he wouldn't lose, and he's not gonna lose.
Oh yeah, obviously we know that. We know that, but then there's gonna be a point in time where you're gonna really truly believe Logan has a chance at winning, because they got to make it look believable at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. What does Tony Khan do in these situations now? Like Jay-Andre, let me ask you a question. What do you think Tony Khan does to make that show better?
Dynamite?
Yeah. Well, AEW in general, because Rampage hurts at the fact that it's a tape show.
That's true.
And it's on a Friday night at 10 o'clock. So
what I would do with Rampage is like they've kind of been doing, kind of putting the ROH titles on Rampage. Because to me, one thing about AEW, they got way too many titles. I mean, they got the trios titles, they got the tag titles, they got ROH titles. I mean, like, they just got way too many titles. So I would take that ROH titles and put it on Rampage. So that way, like you said, Rellz, that they're not putting their title secondary. Because there's no reason that their claim should have been in a backstage segment. And you got Jericho with the ROH title opening and closing the show. That just doesn't make sense. And I think he needs to have, to me, he needs to slow stuff down, because Excalibur be running through stuff. Like, it just seems like they don't let stuff breathe. Then you need to have these plan for the women, because y'all don't have, like you said, they don't have to plan for the women. And then they need to have, it seems like they've been playing hot potato with their titles for the last few months. And I know that's not his fault. That's because Punk, just been injured.
Punk killed that division.
Yeah.
Sadly, his injuries killed that division, because when you're the world champion and you get hurt, you have to relinquish your title. They feel like you're going to come back in a certain time, so you put the belt on Moxley. And then you have Moxley destroy him on a Dynamite taping, and then have him lose the belt 2 weeks later for then your champion to get hurt all over again for the belt to be right back on Moxley. Like, yeah, like it makes no sense. It makes no sense. But then once again, this is Punk that can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
So you can't. It's really not. It's not Moxley's fault. Moxley's been wrestler of the year in my opinion.
But why do you think Punk can't stay injured? Like, you don't understand that he's trying to put on more of a better show.
Bro, the first injury Punk got was jumping into the crowd.
Yeah.
He broke his foot jumping into the crowd.
Yeah.
That's his fault.
Yeah.
Yo, the second injury, he tore his pec doing like a plancha through the rope.
Yeah.
Like, you're 40-something. What are you doing? You just got back in the ring. Why are you flying around for what?
That's true. And then
you want that OMG, man.
And then AEW.
This is awesome. That's
Bro,
what
you're in
you
Chicago.
want. This is awesome.
You got the OMG. You're in Chicago. That's all you needed. What you just say, Jay Andre?
And then AEW had something that before WWE started doing it, they was building stars. They had their stars that they was building, but now the stars that they're building, it seems like people just don't care about. Adam Hangman Page, when he was world champion, dry. Wardlow, when he's TNT champion, dry, nothing. And it seemed like, okay, so when they build these stars, is it that people don't care about them, or did you just push them ex-WWE guys so much that, they kind of lost interest in them?
Well, the Wardlow stuff was more so the MJF kind of messed that whole Wardlow thing up. Because you built that feud up for months for that match to be as bad as it was. But then the blame goes on Tony Khan because he didn't do nothing after that. Like, the next night you put him in an angle where he's getting sued. Like, I would have just had him come out and just destroy somebody. And then a couple of weeks ago, he came out like, oh, I hear the talking about how I fell off. Okay, and then you fell off again. Yeah. So it's like, you see what I'm saying? So it's like you're not making it any better. Then you got FTR, who's been number one contenders for like 8 months with 3 different sets of tag team titles, who still ain't get their title shot yet.
Yeah.
And isn't that why they left WWE?
Because they weren't. Yeah, but see, the difference is you're actually walking around with sets of tag team belts. They got like 8 tag team belts. The WWE was just making them shave hair off their back.
Yeah. Vince was doing them dirty.
Yeah, definitely. Like so you can see the difference. Do I think they'd be different now if they showed up on WWE tomorrow? I think Triple H would make them tag team champs next week, because. But then the Bloodline storyline is so strong. Do you really want to risk? This is the problem with holding up all the belts. There is no second set of belts to go after. You have to go through the Bloodline. Now you got to go through the Usos, and you got to go through Solo, and Sami Zayn, and Roman Reigns. Like, and this is my topic from earlier. Baby faces know what they're going up against, yet they don't have reinforcements to help them. It makes no sense.
Right.
But yet The Rock is going to lose, and Cody's going to beat Roman all by himself, and it's not going to make not a damn bit of sense. But it's going to make sense to everybody because Cody's a champion again.
Well, that's if they go with that storyline, and you got to say that it's because we don't know exactly what's in Triple H's mind right now, and how he wants to go with that segment. You know what I mean?
I'll be honest with you. I love for Cody not to win the belts, only because you left AEW just to think you was gonna be champ. Well, Vince promised you, and now you back in Triple H. No. But let's be clear. When Cody was in AEW, he was almost like Triple H anyway. So
yeah.
I was waiting for him to hit
wannabe Triple H.
Exactly. So you don't think Triple H sees that and be like, "Oh, this guy wants to be me. I'm gonna make this guy my champ."
Yeah.
Fact.
But that's what I'm saying. So it all depends on part. Triple H has totally changed the landscape of what wrestling is. Imagine how bad WWE probably would be right now if Vince was still in charge.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I think would have. I don't think Bray comes back. I don't think Sasha and Naomi come back. I don't even think they would have women's tag team champions right now. I just think
we still. I was just about to
talk about a tournament that was like 4 months ago that never started yet.
Triple H.
Do you think that was a quick title change that shouldn't have happened?
Yes, it made sense, but it didn't make sense. For example, like having Aaliyah and what's her name? Raquel win the tag team titles. It was a shock factor, and I guess they didn't want to put the belts on them because they were going to be at that pay-per-view. So they waited till they came back and put the belts on them. And now you see they're starting to establish a women's tag. Like she don't have Aaliyah no more, but now she got Shotzi now. You know, Shotzi's coming back with the tank. All of a sudden, she's a good guy again. So it makes sense. Like Triple H is doing a lot of stuff that Vince McMahon messed up on. Triple H is fixing it.
That's true.
He brought Candace back this week on Raw.
Yeah,
good thing. Yeah. So you know, you got Dakota with Bailey, and they got their group going on. So it's like eventually, you know, Sasha and Naomi's coming back. Eventually, it's only a matter of time. So you got Bray coming back. You got Braun back, looking better than ever.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So it's like it's just a matter of how Triple H fits these pieces together. So Vince McMahon set Tony Khan up, fired all these guys so Tony Khan could sign all these guys, and all these guys are not happy. And you know what? And that brings another question I need to ask you guys. What do you think about all these guys now that Triple H is in charge want to leave Tony Khan now?
Well, you know, understand they most of those leaves was cutting budget situations. Mm-hmm. So, you know, them coming back is not a bad thing.
It's not.
What I mean? If it was, I left because I wasn't unhappy, and you know, we had that, like CM Punk, I can never see him back in the ring.
I can't see CM Punk back in AEW. No, I'm being honest. It's I want to say that's the greatest comeback to be a epic fail.
But that I think him coming back to AEW would be his best bet versus him trying to go to WWE.
You want to know something funny? In this crazy world we call professional wrestling, I say never say never.
That's true.
True. Very true.
And fucking CM Punk will be coming back at WrestleMania next year and all to be forgiven with the world. Like, so I'd say never say never. But I have a problem with these guys signing contracts with AEW, and now all of a sudden I don't want to cite mental illness because, you know, I never want to say anything wrong about that. I don't want to tip the line. But when you got somebody like a Malachi Black who was like, I need a break because I'm burned out. I need, you know, I got my mental things going on. And then you respect it. And then you kind of see somebody like a Buddy Matthews say almost the exact same thing. It's almost like, okay, so now you're using this as the way to go back to WWE. Like, because let's be clear. You're saying I need a break from wrestling. I just need to take some time off. Okay, but then if Tony Khan gives you your release, do you end up in WWE in 2 months and say all is right with the world again? So it's like, I get it. If you have the mental thing, take your time, do what you need to do. But then you got Malachi Black having to go on his own live and clear things up, saying that he's still with AEW. Because I have to respect Tony Khan. He put his foot down. At this point, he's like, yo, I'm not letting all you guys go, and now you're gonna go back over there. No, I respect it. Like, we all got on Vince for like not letting guys like Ali go. Like, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, for Tony Khan, this is what we want. We want somebody who's going to sit here and now actually be able to put his foot down. Maybe this whole CM Punk Elite situation made him a tougher person. Who knows? But if you let one guy go, if you let a Malachi go and you let a Buddy go, now if Andrade next week says, I want to go, now you're going to let him go too? If he says he wants, now if FTR goes, I want to go too, now you're going to let them all go? You ain't going to have nobody left. So at some point, you got to, if you put your
you know, he got his roster is so long, he got a lot of people left.
No, I agree.
You building that start.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You don't want to have a Dynamite where we have to be like, oh snap, like where all these new guys come from. You get what I'm saying? Like my thing is, you got an issue with these guys. Have a conversation with them, talk to them, and now figure out how you got to push them. Do something. Like, it's not hard to push Malachi Black. This dude can show up on AEW next week and kick Moxley, and all of a sudden he's a main event contender again. Like, it's not hard, but you got to just figure out what to do, and you got to stay consistent. And I think that's Tony Khan's biggest problem, not staying consistent.
Right. He don't look past the debut and the pop. He just so concerned with that, and then he don't think past that.
Yeah, you can't have your TNT champion on tonight and then don't have him on TV for another month. It doesn't make sense. You have this whole women's revolution thing last night, but you don't have Jade on TV. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it makes no sense. Like, why is Jade not there with the rest of the women? Like, she didn't have to come out with them, but she could have came out separately. Like, at the end of the day, she could have came out and simply said, yo, this women's revolution don't start without me. There you go. Statement made. I don't have to book this shit. Like, Like, it's not hard to do.
Khan might need to hire you, bro.
He might. I'm willing to work for a discounted price too. You know what I'm saying? It's not that hard, but it's just at the end of the day, you got to figure out how to make your talent happy. But at the same time, you got to be a boss and put your foot down too. Make Rampages better. Like, stop making Rampage so like dark type. Make them make sense. If the wrestlers that you can't put on TV, put them on Rampage, but give them a story that works with it.
It's all about the storyline, and that no matter what you want to say, it's all about the storyline, and you got to have these great writers.
And you just said it, you hit it right on the head. Like, Tony Khan went way too long without stories because AEW was the alternative product to what that horrible WWE was with Vince in charge. Now that Vince is out of business and Triple H is in charge, now you got to step your game up.
Yeah.
You know, Heyman is definitely writing his ass off.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Tony Khan has a William Regal there. You have a Tony Schiavone there. You have Jake the Snake even on your payroll, in your disposal. Yo, get the mind. Listen to these guys. Let these guys write for you. You got Dustin Rhodes there. Let these guys be your creative writers. Like, let them figure out storylines. Put it together. Let Jericho. You know what I'm saying? Jericho's storyline is like the best storyline in AEW right now. Because at the end of the day, it's going to elevate Daniel Garcia to a higher level. So I'm trying to remember what it was before we leave. I was trying to remember what it was yesterday. I forgot what segment it was. And I'm like, oh, MJF. MJF yesterday elevated 3 wrestlers last night in his one segment alone. Elevated Willa Yuta and elevated the Gun Boys, the Gun Club, all by just being associated with him in a segment. It's not hard to do it. Just figure it out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just hope that, a year from now we can sit here and be like, yo, wrestling is hot now. But we could just sit there and be like, I would love it to go back to where both companies are so on fire that these wrestlers want to go back and forth. Because right now it's just like everybody want to just leave AEW and go back to Triple H. But we all know that this is the honeymoon phase. We don't know what it'll be like 6 months from now. So
I definitely think Triple H is gonna maintain for a minute.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely.
But then
he's been doing this for too long. And you see what he did with NXT. NXT was nobody wanted to watch NXT.
Nah. NXT was
nobody
Triple H was in charge.
Yeah.
Tony Khan, AEW is NXT 1.0.
That's
true. If you really think about it, like, that's all it is. But you guys got anything to close out on before we out?
Yo, you already know October 10th is going down to Barclay. Monday Night Raw, man. Definitely in the building.
You know, and I meant to say with that, I wouldn't even give DX the honor, the privilege with sharing the ring with the Bloodline. I mean, I thought DX was one of the most highly overrated groups of all time. Highly overrated. Like, I wouldn't even give them the honor of sharing the ring with the Bloodline.
Yeah, but you also got to remember with highly overrated wrestlers, they got highly overrated egos. So if you think that for a second Triple H won't try to integrate himself, even if he can't do anything with the Bloodline, like, the story writes itself. But at the same time, it's like I could see a situation where Triple H, where they get intimidated by the Bloodline, and somebody like a Kevin Owens comes out to their defense.
Yeah.
So
they set the seeds for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Yeah. It'll probably be like the Usos. It'll probably be like the Usos and Solo versus like Kevin Owens, Johnny Gargano, and like some out of the blue person like a Seth Rollins or something. Because you just know Seth Rollins don't like the Bloodline either. So, and they in New York, so they do weird stuff when the shows like that happen in New York. So.
Yeah, New York be late. I can actually say that.
Knowing that, it'll probably just end up being like Drew McIntyre and like Kevin Owens versus the whole Bloodline by themselves.
You got Braun, man. Braun will pop up. You already know Braun will pop up.
I just want him to come back and grab Roman and just said, "I'm still not finished with you yet."
All day, bro. All day.
Thanks guys for listening to the Art of the Finish Wrestling podcast. I'm your host Rellz with Don and Jay Andre. Have a good night, y'all.
Peace.